Republican Party represents the typical Republican voter?
I think it really depends on what you define as a real Republican voter. The Republican Party, like the Democratic Party and the Libertarians, we have a broad spectrum of people that want to support that party. I got involved back in 2006 on a bet that when I ran for the legislature, and I ran as a Republican because I looked at the platform and I said, the majority of all of these things on a Republican platform, I believe in. They're closer to my core. So that's why I became a Republican. I suspect most of you have not done that, right? You don't, it's just not something we do, is to go out and read some party's platform for fun. But when you get into a position where you have to make a decision, am I a Republican, am I a Democrat, who am I? You gotta go through those things. Well, my party, over the 12 years I served in the House and the Senate, my party got to the point where they were sending me a questionnaire when I had served in the Republican Party for 10 or 11 years, saying, we need to know if you're really a Republican or not. You need to fill all of these things out so you can get the endorsement for the party. And I kept refusing to do that. I didn't define myself as a Republican. I defined myself as a person whose values most aligned with that party. One of the things that I did learn in the legislature, it's a frenzy. Every year, if you've not been there, Todd, Representative Achilles is here, he gets that. It's a frenzy. And you have a direction that you want to go, and sometimes common sense things don't fall into the pattern of things that you're working with. And it wasn't until somebody started talking about the open primary concept that I remembered that in the mid-70s, there was a Supreme Court decision, Democrats versus the California state, because they had an open primary. And the Democrats were arguing that they were a private organization and they needed to be allowed to select their own candidates. And the Supreme Court agreed with that. And since the mid-70s, all states have had to start to go through this process of changing their primaries to what was considered a constitutionally valid system, so those private organizations could then select their candidates in their primaries. Well, one would think someone in our state would have said, well, if you're a private organization, select your candidates on your own, and the state will hold the primaries for all the private organizations that want to provide a candidate. I was there 12 years and I never thought of that. But today, with this initiative, we can do that. The state is not obligated to hold a primary election for any private organization. But today we do exactly that. Under this system, all of those private organizations can select their candidates in any way that they want to do that. And then those candidates can be submitted to the open primary for all Idaho voters to select. And that makes a whole lot of sense.
Thank you for the educational opportunity. And since you're not taking any questions from the audience, I'm going to goodbye.
A question for Margaret.